You're listening to Entrepreneur Encounter, the podcast where soft skills meet real talk for creative business owners who are building with purpose. I'm Dana, a Pinterest marketing strategist and agency owner helping wedding pros and creative entrepreneurs get seen without burning out.
And I'm Sarah, a business and team strategist who helps small teams and podcasters communicate clearly, lead with empathy, and grow sustainably. Together, we're unpacking the messy, meaningful side of entrepreneurship, from boundaries to burnout, leadership to listening, so you can build a business that actually fits your life. It's a normal day and you send a quick Slack message. You're short, efficient, straight to the point, and say, can you fix this today? And you think you sent the message, so it's done, it's clear, easy. But a few minutes later, you get a reply that feels off, maybe a little bit of, short, defensive, maybe even a little stressed. And you're sitting there thinking, wait, why did that come across wrong?
Or maybe it's something along the lines of someone reads your email and completely misses what you meant, or they overdo it, or they underdo it, or they panic or freak out and think something's urgent when it's not. And suddenly you're spending more time cleaning up the message than it would have taken to say it clearly the first time. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because sometimes the issue isn't your team, it's just the way the message landed. In other forms of saying it, which is something I say to my children all the time, it's not what you said, but how you said it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we treat writing like a small thing, just send the email, send a Slack message, add it to the project management tool. But written communication is not about admin work. It's about leadership.
Especially now with so many teams either working fully remote or this blend of hybrid schedules, different time zones. If you are subcontracting, most of our leadership isn't spoken anymore. It's written, it's typed. We're not just talking to each other because we're not in a traditional office setting anymore. So if your writing is unclear, rushed, or vague, and I'll even throw that out there that it doesn't even sound like you because you're solely relying on AI tools. And I love AI tools, so don't take that away from it. Then confusion is going to spread fast because what you say out loud and what you write are going to be from two different people because they are from two different people.
Yes, I know we talk about, verbal communication a lot. And this, we're diving into more of the written communication. And as someone that likes to write and someone when I write, I like to put a lot into it because, again, I want to make sure that I'm clear. But the problem is tone disappears in writing. There's no facial expression. There's no voice inflection. There's no, hey, I'm smiling while I'm saying this. Because, when you get a text from a friend or, you're laughing, but they can't see that. Or if you're sending a message without emojis, without a smiley face, some people might read too much into that. Some people will fill in the blanks. And I'm guilty of that. I've read into text messages or emails or Slack messages and I'm wondering what is going on. And I'm feeling off because I think that this person is maybe criticizing or, not providing the feedback that I want to hear. So we're just really bad at filling in the blanks. We assume, we stress, or, we usually assume this, stress or criticism or urgency.
Exactly. And as someone who does heavily rely on emojis to help communicate the emotion behind what I'm sending, a short message to you might mean efficient, but to someone else who maybe is reading it in a rush or doesn't know you well enough to know that maybe you are a sarcastic person, or maybe this is just how you talk and they're just new to the team setting, it might mean, ooh, I'm in trouble, or what did I do wrong, or something. So a simple, we need to talk can ruin someone's whole afternoon. And honestly, if someone sent that to me, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the principal's office is what it would feel like. And it doesn't matter who sends that. Be like, what's like either my wife senses, my mom's spidey senses, my CEO spidey senses would be tingling because I would want to know what it is. So, and it's not meant to always be that way. And this is me calling myself out on it, but because there's context missing, it happens.
Yeah, this is something that leaders don't think about enough. Not everything should be written. If it's emotional, if it's sensitive, complex, writing can actually make it worse. When we're talking about feedback, sometimes, yes, you could provide feedback, but I personally would rather you talk to me verbally and give me feedback because, again, like reading between the lines, I might like, oh no, I'm in trouble. If there's a conflict, when there's conflict going on, I more so than the feedback, I would rather you talk to me about that. I mean, if it's a small issue, then it could be okay. I mean, it depends on what it is. But if something's going on, for example, so last week there was an issue where I was at work and I had a conversation with my office manager about what was going on, and verbally talking about it helped us get out like what was going on, how can we resolve this. Now, again, if you are working remotely, that can be a little challenging. So yes, I think when it comes to conflict or big changes, you should get on a call with somebody, get on a Zoom meeting and have those conversations.
Absolutely. I think to put a spin on it or perspective, writing is great for clarity and documentation, not necessarily nuance. So if you need to have a conversation or to communicate tone, empathy, or some sort of back and forth where like waiting a few minutes, like if it's more urgent, but not in a emergency sense, like it's not good for email, if that makes sense, hop on a call. So like if we need to have a conversation and I don't want to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, or 24 hours for you to respond, we need to schedule a call so we can like hash it out really quickly and then move on. 5 minutes of talking can save 10 Slack threads. It can save several hours just by saying, hey, let's hop on a call for 5 minutes. Or even sending a voice note, because sometimes we do that. Like if it's not something that needs to be written, but we don't have time for an actual phone call, I will send and communicate via a voice memo so that the tone is implied or understood better with what I need to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I want to give an example. So when I'm managing the teams that I manage and I'm delegating out a task in our project management tool. So yes, I assign the task to a specific team member, but in the comment section, so Asana, they have like you delegate something to somebody and then underneath that you can write a comment. And I would write task A is ready for you to start working on now. Here are the resources that you need to complete this task. So if there is a podcast episode that needs to be edited, say episode 20, here's the link and here's everything that you need to complete this task. That is me communicating to my team member that this task it needs to be worked on. I would rather that because you're giving clarity of what the task is. I mean, yes, you can still assign a task to somebody, but giving them a little bit more direction of like, hey, you can find it here on this link. You can find the standard operating procedure if you need to give that to them here. So it just helps them understand what the task is.
I think that helps clear up expectations on what done looks like, and that's not just like the overall project, but each step or phase of a project. But that also helps you not just under communicate, but over communicate either. Because, some people can be long winded and they'll spend 3 paragraphs or 5 side notes, multiple disclaimers, and the message gets buried in what you're trying to say. So clarity lives somewhere in the middle of that. As someone who's like an avid reader, I know there's a few books that have spent like pages describing like one room, and I'm like, this could have been 1 page and we could have moved on with the plot. So like clarity lives in the middle, even in our SOPs, our emails, and communication with our teams and clients. So clear expectations, simple language, specific outcomes, not necessarily a one-liner, but also not an essay either. Like almost write it in the way that you would say it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, on this page, you'll see these things, and this is the outcome we're hoping to accomplish by doing these tasks. Like, see how it flows naturally? We're not trying to cut it out and be too quick. We're not trying to over explain it. It's just the meat and the potatoes portion of the project.
Yeah, exactly. Here's something we don't really talk about that often. Leaders unintentionally create anxiety through vague rating. Things like any updates, let's revisit this, we should approve this. But now the person on the other side is any updates. Okay, well, you gave me a deadline, you gave me a due date. So what, if I my, coming from a team member, coming from the person that's doing the task, if you say any updates, it's like, well, you assign a task, you gave me a due date. That's very vague. You're now that person's like, oh my goodness, am I late? Am I, doing something wrong? These phrases sound harmless, but they're vague, they're foggy. This is going to make people nervous. I mean, I've been on that side, and let's revisit this. Let's revisit what we should improve on this. Improve on what? It's like what needs to be improved on. So when you get more into like what is going on and clarifying whatever it is that's going on, it's going to help the other person understand how to continue doing what they're doing.
I think that helps minimize guessing. So it could be like maybe a leader is new to delegating and needs to
Mhm.
know more for their own nervous system regulation. But I think that opens up team members to, I will have an update for you at our pre-scheduled meeting or by this predetermined deadline. That way it lets them know, hey, I am actively working on it, but I don't have it yet because it's not time for me to have it. And that gives both parties the confidence that no one is behind, no one has messed up because you're clearly reiterating the expectations. It removes the feeling that it's urgent, because being vague costs that emotional energy, and your team, your client spends the energy worrying. So we can remove all of that by, if someone asks for an update or something ahead of schedule, maybe it's because they had unexpected, like another project ended up early, so they're just moving on to the next one just to kind of get a feel. And do they need to help, or do they have the ability to help because now their time is freed? So instead of jumping into something completely off, like the rails, they're just moving to the next one, seeing where you are and how they can jump in and help. But if they don't have an update because it's not time, you can confidently say that, and strong written communication will allow you to remove those things.
I think the only time that I've said any updates on this is if it's literally the day that it's due or the next day after after it's late, because it's not me micromanaging, because I want to make sure that yes, they are able to do the task at hand, they have what they need to do the task, because I would rather somebody say, hey, like you were saying, Dana, like, hey, like this is what's going on, or I'm going to be late. Like, I would rather you say I'm going to be late on this than have it be late and not say anything at all.
I think from me, I do ask for updates ahead of time, but that's usually to see, hey, is lifing a little too
no,
much and maybe you're too nervous to say it? And I let it be known ahead of time for that, like, hey, I'm just checking in. Do you need help? Do you have everything you need? It's purely just to check in. To allow that. And I think it helps me to, when I'm sending emails and all the other things, like I mentioned the no rush, this is, just getting a feel so that my check-in does feel human and it's clear, but it's also keeping things warm because I'm all about a vibe check. And it's just, hey, thanks for jumping on this. Thanks for handling this. Thanks
Mhm.
for keeping it moving. Is there anything that you need, or is there any way that I can help? Because XYZ finished, or I got ahead on another project. So I have a little bit of wiggle room and I just want to, touch base. But that also says a lot about me as a person. It's fine.
It's yeah. Strong written communication looks like clear subject lines or direct requests, specific deadlines, defined outcome. For example, please update the client show notes Thursday at 2 p.m. and send me the final version. That's you're literally saying the time frame, what time you want it done, and send me the final version. You're not, there's no guessing, there's no decoding. You are being clear on what's needed because we need to update the show notes by Thursday at 2 p.m. so that we can get the final revision on that. It's not about grammar because every time I send a Slack message, my grammar is so messed up.
Grammar saves lives.
Sometimes I'll write, without apostrophes, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's sometimes I'll like go do like a quick edit, try to put the apostrophe in, the word didn't. I'm like, oh no, I missed the word. But it's about how you show up. It's about leadership. It's about showing up in a way that everybody understands. It's, ask for feedback, ask for questions. It's, thinking, how would this land if the person's reading this? Not just, did I say what I needed to say?
I think, again, grammar saves lives. And I silently judge you and myself when I get it wrong. And I will go back and edit. If you ever see a message from me that's edited, it's because I messed it up and I had to fix it. But leadership communication isn't about just transmitting information. We know this. It's about aligning understanding with you and supporting your clients. It's about helping your team understand the mission and the vision of the company that you're building. And if they read it differently than you meant it, then it's not clear. And that gives you an opportunity to come together and figure out how you need to do it, because everyone's learning styles are different. Everyone receives information differently. Everyone, there is no cookie cutter way. SOPs are wonderful and they do help, but having it written in a way with like even visual aids helps and just keeps it inclusive, but communicating in a way that your written is good, but it also helps everyone get clear on the same page. So here's something to think about this week. Look at the last 5 messages that you sent out. Would someone new to your business understand exactly what you meant? And ask yourself, where am I creating confusion without realizing it? Where could one extra sentence save someone's stress? And if you still don't see it and you have a team, send out a poll to your team. And if the team is big enough, make it anonymous. But if you don't have a team, like I don't have one, so I rely on my co-working space. I rely on you, Sarah. So I send y'all messages all the time. Like, did I get this wrong? I've done it with copy when people have come back and like clients have come back and saying, oh, this doesn't make any kind of sense. So I get secondary and third glances at content so that, I make sure that the message is clear, whether it's going from me speaking to potential clients or my clients speaking to their audience. So again, ask yourself, where am I creating confusion without realizing it? And where could one extra sentence save someone stress?
It's funny that we're talking about this because yesterday I sent out 2 emails to introduce myself. It was those 2 that you sent me, those emails. So I sent them out. And before I sent them out, I read it over and over again, just to make sure that it made sense. Am I getting my message across? And what helps, I don't know if you do this, Dana, or anybody else that's listening, but reading out loud.
Absolutely.
A lot of the times when I'm writing your show notes, writing a blog post, whatever I'm writing, I read out loud. And sometimes I think, this doesn't make sense. This is stupid. Like, I need to change these words.
It does. And I don't know all the ins and outs of like ADD and ADHD, but I do know that for those with that need, I guess, reading out loud is in their individualized education plan, their IEP for up here. And because it does help, it just makes them more tangible, I guess, in a way. And so reading it out loud is helpful. My oldest son, has that in his IEP, and he is allowed to read. He is given permission to read it out loud. It's not like a disruption to class, so that he can cognitively understand what is being taught to him when it's like a reading assignment or something. Does he always use it? No, but here I am giving you all permission slips to do that, because from first-hand experience for both Sarah and I, we have to read it out loud sometimes. I read my emails out loud. I read my presentations out loud before I record them.
Yeah.
I will read these podcast things out loud sometimes before we record them, just to make sure that it flows naturally and we have less edits at the end of this recording.
Well, another thing too, I mean, like if you're reading a book, I think it's fun to read out loud. It might sound weird, but I know that when you read like a story, you can see things in your head. So that's why I enjoy reading stories. But when I read out loud, it feels like it's coming more to life. Like, it's in my head, but like I see it in a different way. So written communications, it seems small, but it's going to shape your culture every single day with your clients, if you have a team. Every message, it's going to either create clarity or tension. There's really no neutral. So slow down enough just to be clear, because written clarity isn't just about being professional. It's your responsibility as a leader to show up for your people, to show up for your clients and your team. Read out loud, edit whatever you need to edit, ask somebody for feedback.
I approve this message. Okay, thank you for spending this time with us today. And I really hope you take time to do this reflective process and really seeing how your communication levels up with your team, your clients, and anyone else in your life. So whether you're growing your visibility through Pinterest marketing or streamlining your podcast operations and team management, we help you build systems that work for you and not against you. All of the information is going to be in the show notes, and we can't wait to chat with you next time.
You can now follow us on LinkedIn at Entrepreneur Encounter.
Thanks for spending time with us today. If something in this episode gave you a fresh perspective, share it with a friend or send us a DM. We love hearing how these conversations land with you.
And if you're curious about how soft skills can support your next season of growth, we each have more resources to share.
You can find Dana on Instagram at danas.desk.nc for Pinterest strategy and intentional marketing.
And Sarah at UR Rembert for team development, business leadership, and podcast support.
Until next time, keep leading with purpose
and growing with intention.